And then I think the cherry on the sundae would be Gensler getting kicked out.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Those shirts you have will be like going off the shelf, or Elizabeth Warren, like one of them two.
Yeah.
We need one of them two to really back away or change their tone, right?
This content is brought to you by VeChain, which is a leading enterprise-grade Layer 1 public blockchain spearheading a digital revolution from a sustainable, highly scalable smart contract platform. The VeChain blockchain has many unique features, which makes it an ideal choice for Web3 applications. VeChain is working with many great enterprises such as PwC, Givenchy, BMW, and Walmart China. Most recently, they partnered with the Boston Consulting Group to build a revolutionary decentralized application ecosystem. I'm a big believer in this project. I have been since 2018. I've been a VET token holder for years. And this blockchain is highly scalable, great with security and speed, and it has low energy consumption. If you'd like to learn more about VeChain, please visit vchain.org. Link will be in the description. Welcome into the Thinking Crypto podcast, Crypto Water Cooler series. This is episode 14. I got a special guest with me, Sewell, who's the co-host of the Next Block YouTube channel. Sewell, good to see you, man.
Yes, great to see you. Thank you for having me on the show.
For sure, man. We've talked about doing this for a while. I've always obviously had David on, but it's great to have you on. And, there's lots to talk about with crypto, man. Maybe we can kick it off with the pullback. It got a lot of people scared. They're like, wait a minute, bull
Yes.
market's over, dog. What are we gonna do? But I'm like, it's not over, man. This is, if you've been here for multiple bull market cycles, these things happen in
Mhm.
a bull market, and there hasn't been any major invalidation.
No, it definitely gives you that feeling that it's over. Like, trust me, you go from the people texting like, "Oh, should I buy Bitcoin?" to like, "Ah, it's back to that scam language and things of that nature." It's pretty funny. But yes, I hope we get some upside real soon. I was looking at the charts and I see that Bitcoin, pretty much, and Ethereum as well, found some type of bottom at these levels that it's at currently right now. So,
Yeah, and like I always tell people, like when they bring up those things, I say, okay, is this how you're feeling, or have you looked at any data? I try to bring
mhm.
it back, and they'll often say, "Oh, I haven't looked at any data." I'm like, "Well, it's just your feelings, your emotions. If you're
Yep,
investing with your emotions, man, you're gonna get wrecked because markets are set up to wreck you. You know what I mean? Because you got
every
whales, you
time.
got Wall Street, you got hedge funds. All these guys got quants, they got bots, they got a whole room of people pulling metrics. So you got to learn how to read the charts. And I often say, okay, if I have a computer, I'll zoom out on the Bitcoin chart and look
Mhm.
back at the previous bull markets. Tell me what happened right here. A
Yep.
correction, right? And don't get me wrong, there is a point of invalidation, but we're not there. And this is just a healthy correction, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Like, I'm a technical analysis type of guy, so I like the data. And then I got my chart set up on TradingView with like some color coordinations, right? So my 200 SMA simple moving average is in purple. And then if on the daily chart, if you're, say my Bitcoin right now is a little bit under the purple line, I know it's not too bad, right? We're close, right? It's going back and forth depending on the day. And then Ethereum, same thing, it just crossed back over. But on the weekly, as you said, a larger time frame, it looks great. So I'm bullish still.
Yeah, man. The thing is, though, I hope the bottom is like in for the most part. Like this is not going to go on for another 2 months. I don't think it will. I think maybe towards the end of July. But
Mhm.
we all want the prices to go up, right? I mean,
Oh,
I've been
yes.
here from, I would consider myself to be a seasoned crypto investor, but these boring periods, these pullbacks still suck because you want to see the prices go up.
Oh,
Um,
yeah. That's
we
what we're
all
here for.
exactly right. Like I want to make money, man, and I my portfolio is up. Don't get me wrong, because I bought in 2022, right when the bottom, the
Mm.
blood on the street. So my portfolio is up, but I'm obviously looking for higher gains. But with that said, what are your thoughts on what you think might be a catalyst? Because there's usually narratives that come in that
Yep.
starts the market pumping, and it could be the Ethereum ETF approval, which everybody's saying is going to happen this month.
Mhm. So a catalyst for me, I think, is definitely one would be the Ethereum ETF approval. And you talk about Gary Gensler all the time, it cracks me up. But I think if we get a new Fed chair or SEC chair, if he goes, I think crypto skyrockets anyway. So I'm definitely looking at the ETF approval, see what the government does, or even if the Democratic Party starts to embrace crypto a little bit more, I think that would help out a lot. But I feel like regulation, there's a base is doing on-chain summer. So far, it hasn't really been on fire yet, but we are only in July. So I guess we're kind of, start at summer. But yeah, I think it's going to be some regulation-based stuff that will help out.
That's a
What
great
about you?
point, man. Oh yeah, that's a great point, man. And to your point of Democrats embracing crypto, we saw like a bunch of different movements from Democrats, like
Hmm.
Khanna, who's a top Democrat, hosted that roundtable on Wednesday of this week, where you had
Yep.
Mark Cuban, people from the Biden administration. That seemed to go well, but it's all talk until they actually do something. But
Hmm.
if look, I don't want to get too much into the political weeds, but we know Biden and the Democrats have problems right now, right? Some of them are saying you
Oh.
need to step down, Biden, to say the least.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. We
but
can
but
go
if
all day on that.
exactly, but if they, like you said, all of a sudden we're like, oh, we're getting our ass kicked, right? Like let's start embracing crypto so we can win back some votes. I think that's a strong possibility. I don't know if it's too late for them, but that's a strong
Mhm.
possibility. And I think, like you said, the Ethereum ETF could be that catalyst. And then I think the cherry on the ice on the Sunday would be Gensler getting kicked out.
Yeah, yeah, those shirts you have will be like going off the show. Yeah, like I think, or Elizabeth Warren, like one of them two.
Yeah.
We need one of them two to really back away or change their tone, right? Like even I think was that even when the Bitcoin ETF got approved, Gary Gensler still was talking a little funny, even though it went through. I'm like, change your tone. At least a tone change, I think, will help out cryptocurrency. But I guess his job is to be against it to protect investors. So, yeah.
Yeah, great point. And we'll see what happens, man. You know, it's I know this is really like the a super idealistic view, but if Biden and the Democrats go full on support of crypto, fire against their and,
Hmm.
and bring in
Yes.
somebody else, that it would be really interesting. But regards to the ETFs, we talked about the Ethereum spot
Yep.
ETF. That could be pretty huge. I think the market's waiting. It's 50% done. But then there was a bunch of people that started filing for Solana ETFs.
Yep.
I personally recently made public that I added more Solana to my portfolio because of the
Yep.
ETF, because there's going to be institutional demand. And it started in Canada, it's happening now in the US. And then they launched this thing called Blinks, which I think is a game
Mm.
changer. So historically, I've been not really a fan of Solana because of the downtime,
Hmm.
but they seem to be fixing that. There seems to be institutional demand and they seem to be launching cool stuff. How do you feel about Solana?
So I feel about it in two ways, right? But one way, when it comes to making money, I wish I would have been more bullish on Solana. I was like, man, I'm listening into my like higher self who's like, man, the technology. 'Cause I've used Solana, right? I'm like, hey, sometimes my transactions fail, or it's just a lot of stuff happen on the apps, right? I'm like trying to make a trade. So I'm doing those things and I'm using other blockchains that are very smooth. So I'm like, I don't know if this is gonna work out. I was wrong. Price wise, Solana did great, and it's very popular. We see all the celebrities, the Iggy Azaleas, all those type of people on there, right? That's something, I'm learning, like you always got to pay attention to what are those mainstreams doing, right? So in terms of technology, I don't think it's the best, but this space, totally doesn't really care about what's the best or what's not the best. It's the narrative. And Solana is, I would say, the number three most popular cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana. But in terms of an ETF, I think that if the ETH goes through sometime this year, let's say September, I think that would be a great time right before elections to get people hype. I think the Republican Party would want something like that to happen. Then they'll be like, we'll accept Solana donations, right? They'll do something like that. But then I think Solana ETF would be next, but I don't think until like next year. And, I think they're gonna do one at a time, slowly.
Yeah, and then you think about like Solana is named in some of the lawsuits the SEC brought against these exchanges, like
Hmm.
Coinbase and stuff. So that's a bit tricky. The other factor is there's no futures market yet for it. Now the SEC
Hmm.
could bypass that, but my gut tells me they're going to go the same route that, hey, there's a futures market for Bitcoin, there's a futures market for Ethereum. We want to have that first before they approve it. But nevertheless,
That makes
I think
sense.
yeah, the signal is out there, right? That okay, in Canada they're filing for this, in the US VanEck and 21 shares filed
Hmm.
for it. So I mean, now I it wouldn't surprise me if Fidelity and BlackRock came like in the next month and said we're also filing for the Solana
Oh
ETF
yeah,
because it kicks off like
yeah,
game theory, right? No one wants to be last when it comes to these things. So it'll be very interesting.
yeah. And again, I think for the industry, you got to put Solana into every conversation now. And as you said, with what's it called, Blinks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that technology, is it out yet? I just saw some demos of it.
Yeah, I think I don't know if it's in beta or alpha. It's like one of those like
Mhm.
test phases. But it's really cool. It's like technology that I imagined we would be getting to transition from Web 2 to Web 3 that it makes it so easy. You share a link and it already integrates the ability to send, pay crypto,
Mhm.
right? That right now doesn't exist, like to easily
No.
do it. And the fact that it would kind of load natively to a social platform, I mean, that's pretty game changing in my opinion.
Yeah. Again, Solana still has the volume. So, shout out to all the people who hold the Solana bags.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
some people were getting angry at me because I added Solana to my portfolio, and I'm like, bro, I'm not here for religion. I'm not here for feelings. I am here to make money.
Hmm.
First and foremost, because I want to get financial freedom for myself and
Yep.
my family. And second, I am passionate about the technology and I want to see it get adopted. So first, money, make money. Second, uh, play around with the technologies and educate people about it. That hey, this is the future. Whether you love or hate a project, that's subjective, right? But you got to look at
It
the
is.
reality. And
It
like I
kind
said,
of,
sorry.
oh no, it's like, it reminds me of, sometimes like Tesla, right? You can make money on Tesla, but sometimes people don't like the CEO,
Right.
right? Because of whatever he's talking about at that time. But you gotta, in this space, you do have to separate like you said, what's your goal? Is it to make money or is it to be tribal? And I'm with you on the, like, let's go make some money and then we can worry about the other stuff later.
Yeah. And look, at the end of the day, people get upset, but I'm like, look, this is the free market. I can
Mhm.
put Solana in the top five. It's there. I didn't tell the institutions to go file for ETFs. They did it.
Yep,
I didn't,
yep.
and so I keep trying to point people to that, like step away from your emotions. What is the reality of the situation? It's kind of like this happens in sports and politics as well, right? Like just as an
Mhm.
example, people will hate Biden or hate Trump and so forth.
Yep.
I often say, okay, but at the end of the day, this is what's happening. This is a reality. So you have to come to grips
Yeah.
with what's happening and make your decisions and conclusions accordingly.
Yeah, and it's like we got Biden, we got Trump. That's what it is this winter. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Emotionally, most of us feel some type of way. So yeah, and I agree. So when it comes to Solana, though, I think it still has a lot of room to go on the upside as well. I definitely agree, and I feel like the more people like hate on Solana, the better it performs. So it's like bring on the hate.
Well, it's kind of like the contrarian thing, right? Like you go against the
Hmm.
herd. If a lot of people hate it, they don't like it. I mean, and don't get me wrong, you got to look at the numbers, right? But there's
Yeah.
a contrarian principle of like go against the herd if you want to do well. Because if the herd,
Hmm.
everybody loves it and everybody's like, yeah, 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 that's and usually it's near its top or it's not, it doesn't have much more to go.
You know what I realized? Those same people that's like Solana, they'll come by and hate on a tweet like I bought some more Solana. Those are the same people that be like Bitcoin's going to zero, and I'm like, well, you guys are crazy. Yeah.
Dude, it's so funny, and this is where self-awareness is important. Like, what am
Hmm.
I saying? Am I being biased? Is this subjective or objective, right? And people saying that it's often like tribalism, and they want to
Yes.
they actually don't even know how the market works. Because like if Bitcoin goes to zero, altcoins are in trouble because you don't understand the liquidity flow in this market. Like
Hmm.
it's been proven data, like the capital comes in via Bitcoin because it's the less riskiest asset. It's the biggest brand.
Yep.
Institutions trust it. Then when they make profits on Bitcoin, they then rotate that liquidity to altcoins. A lot of people don't understand that. They think, oh,
Mhm.
that's the Bitcoin. And it's like, do you know what you're saying? Like what will
Yeah.
happen to your altcoin?
Death to the industry. That's what they say. Yeah, and then same thing with Ethereum. The number two I feel like most hate is Ethereum. Like for me, my when I'm buying Bitcoin, like I like always make sure, or crypto in general, it's like I got to make sure I have my big dogs, Bitcoin, Ethereum for sure.
Exactly. And that's
Yeah.
the smart way to do it. That's how institutions do it, man. They put a amount, like you said, on the risk curve. Bitcoin and
Yep.
Ethereum are down here. When you go to meme coins and so forth, it becomes more riskier. They put some holdings in that, and then they put some chips into the other altcoins. But
Hmm.
that's how you got to do it, man. You got to diversify, and you got to go into the things that are, are, and look, there's no certainties, but are, have the highest
Hmm.
probability of just playing out according to your plan. And and it's important to do that. I think that's smart, like what you said.
Yeah, because it's like, let's keep it real. Every time you buy an altcoin, your risk to go down 80, 90% is like really high compared to Bitcoin and Ethereum. And I have to admit, I have, done some negative 90% coins. Like, come on. So I try to stay away from those as much as possible. And if I do get in, it's a small, small amount. And then, the risk on the upside versus the upside is like, okay, what if it does something crazy? Then I'll make a little money. But if it does go down 90%, I'm not really that affected. So that's how I try to play the game.
Absolutely, man.
Hmm.
And I'm trying to get as much money, squeeze as much juice out of this bull markets. It doesn't last long, and
Oh, no.
there's a bear market coming. But my plan is like the profits I get from this bull market, obviously I'm going to use it to like spend, pay off some debt, maybe
Yep.
make some other investments outside of crypto. But I'm planning to rotate some of those profits and buy the bloody bear market again and prepare for 2028. And then
Hmm.
I learned my
Smart
lesson.
move.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and try to squeeze as much as we can out of this, because it's not gonna give you the same type of returns forever, you know?
No, no. I listened to, I always slaughter his name, Raul Paul, right? I think I said it right. But yeah, that's what he talks about. He's like, over time, those like, so I wrote some notes down too. So you got year to date, Bitcoin's up 37%. And then you got 1 year is up 90%, but the last five is up over 700%, right? But over time, he's talking about those type of gains will go down. You're not going to get those 500, 700% gains. It may start to look like the S&P 500 or QQQ or something like that.
Right.
So yeah, I agree. It's like, get your profits. They got this USDC or whatever you hold it in, and then you can wait it out. And then from the bottom, like we've seen with Solana, you can get 1,000% or a 10x if you have good timing and patience. So yeah, I'm with you on that one, like
Yeah.
big time.
Yeah, man. The goal, grow the pot, man, make as much money as possible, because these
Hmm.
things don't last forever. And um, at the end of the day, I, you want to make sure that you're using this opportunity because it's like a once in a generation thing. It doesn't. I think back in the 90s when I was in high school, and I remember
Hmm.
seeing the dot-com boom and stocks going crazy, and I'm like, I don't have money to invest. I don't even know how the hell to invest. And years later, I look back and I'm like, man, I wish I could have bought Google stock and Amazon, but
Right.
I wasn't financially educated, and once again,
Yep.
I was, high school, then college. I didn't have money to do that, and I'm the son of an immigrant parent, so they didn't want to hear anything about stocks. They're
Oh
just trying
yeah, of
to
course.
right? So, but now I'm like, hey, this is my opportunity right now, and I want to take advantage of it.
Yeah, definitely. So I do have a question. Outside of, let's say, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, And no financial advice or anything. What like crypto ecosystems are you even interested in?
As far as investments, or like
Yeah,
I'm like bullish on as far as adoption.
I'll say both. Let's start with investments, then maybe adoption.
Sure. So, um, I have a pretty expansive portfolio because, and I want to make sure I give the context. I've been accumulating since 2016. I've been here since 2016. So some coins
Wow.
I've held for a long time. Like for example, XRP, I was buying
Mm,
at 10, 15 cents in
mm,
2017. Um, and I have a good whole amount there. Um, I have some like Litecoin from back in the day. I'm not bullish
yeah.
on Litecoin, but I bought it so cheap, right? And I didn't necessarily need the money, so I'm like, I'm gonna let it rise, right? So I'm up significantly. I
That's a
think,
long time to hold.
yeah, yeah, but you know, I have some of these that I bought so cheap, and then
Mhm,
I do plan to cash them out this cycle. Don't get me wrong, because I feel
mhm,
like you know, it's been multiple cycles since then, and the gains are gonna be high. Um, I got some algo. I think Algorand is from an adoption standpoint is a solid blockchain. I got some tokens. I got Chainlink. They're
mhm,
getting like connections with many different blockchains with their Oracle technology. I'm bullish on that. And then in December 2022 and January 2023, I told people like, hey, I think AI is going to be a strong narrative. I made a huge bet on FET on
mhm,
fetch.ai. It paid off really well, and I bought some render as well. So speculatively, I'm bullish on those AI tokens. Adoption wise, you know, I'm looking at Chainlink, Algorand, possibly the XRP ledger, but you know, they got a lawsuit with Ripple, right? I mean, with the
mhm,
SEC. Um, and I got like Avalanche and Solana, which I think are good competitors to Ethereum.
mhm. Yeah, for me, when you talk about XRP, right? I got into crypto, let's say like late, sometime in 2020, right? So it's a little newer. And then when I finally got bullish, I'm like, oh, XRP is the one, right? So I go into XRP heavy for myself at that time. And then the lawsuit comes out. Like, I was like, how did that happen? So, but I like what you said of the narratives and coins. I'm also a big fan of algo. I think the real world asset, you know, with Algorand, the H bars, the chain links.
Yeah. H forgot about H bar. Yeah.
Yeah, I think those will be great for adoption. I'm not sure because I think about like Algorand, H bar, even let's say Chainlink, those three. I really like them, but I'm not sure if it's going to affect the price as much as we would want, but it might bring in the people. So when we look at like the internet, right? Comcast or Xfinity isn't, you know, comparable stock to something that's using the internet like Facebook or, you know, Amazon Web Services or things like that. The money went over there and not into, you know, the towers, the internet towers like T-Mobile and you know and AT&T. So I'm not sure how it would affect the price with those type of coins, but I think they will bring an adoption. But when you said like I was betting on Render,
Mhm.
and Render was doing really well. So I think that it's just riding the AI wave, and I think those assets are doing good. For me, I still love the Cosmos ecosystem, whether it's Cosmos itself, one of its DEX tokens, Osmosis, or Injective. Injective
Oh,
also
exactly.
done, yeah, really well. So I'm into those as well. And I don't think they're going to bring in the masses, but for crypto natives, people love those ecosystems.
See, well, you brought up one of the uncomfortable truths in this market, and
You know?
people many times get married to the tokens and they don't understand tokenomics and liquidity and narratives. Because, like we were just talking
Mm-hmm.
about with Solana, right? Because if, for example, every cycle the project is releasing tons of tokens, it makes it much harder for it to hit new all-time highs. That's a
Yep.
very uncomfortable truth people don't want to accept because they're like, oh, like XRP, the Ripple just partnered with X and blah 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 blah. But what is the tokenomics? Did they release another 5 billion into the market? And this is not
Yep.
specific to them. Other projects do this. And I had to really come to grips with that uncomfortable truth and that the token may not hit new all-time highs. It may just go above the old all-time high, but
Hmm.
it's not going to go to the number you're thinking, because you have to look at the tokenomics and the supply and what's happening there, and things potentially happening like the lawsuit against Ripple that slowed down XRP in the last cycle,
Oh
right?
yeah.
So you got to take all these things into account. And uh, I've noticed people get angry because they don't want to think about the negative. They just want to think about the positive, but you got to look at both sides. If you, as an investor, if you're only looking at one view, then your likelihood of getting wrecked is pretty high.
Yeah, definitely. And when you talk about token distribution or dilution or whatever word we want to use, a lot of these coins, are in the billions. And this is what made Bitcoin so impressive. It's like 21 million. That's what kind of got me hooked on Bitcoin. I'm like, this makes sense. And then we saw during COVID, the government was printing money, and we saw the money was not capped. And that has affected our whole, livelihood. And then Bitcoin steadily going up. There will be, with Bitcoin, a lot of coins got lost, it seems like. Not like a massive amount, but people are losing coins. And that actually helped crunch the supply. And then some of our favorite coins, I won't name them also specifically, but they still have a few billion coins to come out. And they are scheduled to come out. So if your coin is going up 100%, now it takes a lot more buying power to get that coin to go back up where it was or past it.
Yeah, and that's folks who are watching and listening. Trust me when I tell you, you need to take a look at that. That is
Hmm.
something, a lesson I had to learn. And look, everybody goes through this journey and at their own pace, but go study that. What is the token unlock, and does that affect the price point that you're thinking on the charts, right? Because you got to back it up with data. And obviously there's the narrative aspect, which is not really tangible, but you got to look at all these factors as the TLDR.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like go look at those circulating supplies and then go check out the fully diluted and all the rest of the max supply. I think that's the other word.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it is hard because when you like, okay, it's a bear market, right? We're in the bull, what's that, 2021, 2022. And we go into the bear and then you buy up all these coins, and then you realize there's more coming out.
Yeah.
And then you like, damn, I learned that lesson too.
Yeah, and
So
it's not to say that
definitely.
you can't make money if you bought the bear market bottom, but I think people, the expectation they have is it's going to go beyond its old all-time high. That's not
Hmm.
always true because of the token supply. It may just retrace to its old all-time high or near that. And like I said, that's a lesson I had to learn, being here
Hmm.
multiple cycles, and it's an uncomfortable truth I had to come to grips with. I had to put my emotions and my super bullish perma bull feelings and emotions to the side and say, you know what? Yeah, if they're going to unlock X amount of tokens, that's is going to make it hard for it to hit a new all-time high. I got to start taking profits when it's close to the old all-time high.
Yeah.
These are these are things you have to think about.
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely. A lot to learn, y'all. Pay attention if you don't know that lesson.
um, you had brought up on our list of topics, Representative Mike Collins buys
Yes.
Velodrome and Aerodrome. I don't know much about that. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so Mike Collins, I'm not sure what state he's in, but he's a House of Rep guy. And they have to do the SEC filings or what they buy, like Pelosi and all them. So he files that he bought, yeah, Pelosi, right? He bought Velodrome, and Velodrome is basically in the base ecosystem, optimism ecosystem. And then recently he bought Aerodrome. And I don't know what his profit or loss was, but he spent like, 15, 20, 30,000 on Velodrome at first, and then he went in on Aerodrome. And again, I don't know if he sold or not, but I think that is very interesting because you're like, he's onto something, right? He's probably at these crypto meetings and he's sitting there like, okay. And he's following Pelosi's leads. Like, we need to be more investors, investors over here. So I think that's bullish for crypto, to be honest, to have a rep like publicly put his bags out there pretty fast. And then when it comes to, I'm a big fan of Ethereum's base ecosystem with Coinbase, right? And so for him to go inside of that ecosystem, he's a couple layers in now, understanding what's going on. He's probably using Coinbase app, I would imagine, because those tokens are on Coinbase. So he's purchasing. What's your thoughts on that?
Yo, that's fascinating. Because
Yeah,
on multiple levels, like you said, that you have politicians now investing in crypto tokens versus stocks and equities, like they have like the
yeah,
Pelosi, right?
yeah,
But the fact that he did this and obviously so openly because he reported it is fascinating. It makes me want to go look into this project. Like, what does he know? Did he hear something? Right.
right.
So that's my first takeaway. It's bullish for crypto, and then what does he know there? And I think it's a sign of what's to come because this new asset class is here to stay. Crypto is here to stay, and I think we're going to see more and more public figures investing in tokens and building with the tech. But then just this week, it brings up the question of should members of Congress be trading? And obviously the biggest example is Pelosi. All that
Yeah,
insider information. It's
greatest
unbelievable that they
trader of
can,
all time.
right? There's people who like mapped out like all her trades and they followed it and they're in the green. Like they made money just following what she's doing. It's ridiculous, man. So I don't know if there's a bill out there, bipartisan, that would ban congressmen trading stocks and so forth. I'm assuming they might include crypto in there. So it's TBD to see what happens here.
So so my thought is this, like I'm kind of like in two ways. Like one way is like ban it totally so they can focus on their job, but then that means, lobbying, all these other things, right? So that's a lot of stuff you have to ban. I would say just make them do what Mike Collins did. Like if you buy something, you have to file within 2 weeks. I would accept
Sure.
that because then it's like Roy and Kitty, right? They become our influencers. You're like, okay, Mike Collins bought Aerodrome and Velodrome within 2 weeks ago. So that means there's probably still opportunity for me to get in if you're paying attention. So I can see it like that. And again, everyone doesn't trade like Pelosi. So Mike Collins, if you go look at the time that filing came out, he's probably down on Velodrome, right? But we don't know his time horizon or how long he's
Right.
planning on holding. If he's just dollar cost averaging it, we don't know. But if Pelosi done it, that's a big a big sign that she knows something or she regulated on it. So I think banning might be a stretch. Just make sure that their timeline is shorter in terms of filing. I would accept that. I think that'd be great.
That's a great point, man. Great
Mhm.
point. Like if they can whether it's a week or 2 weeks, right? So that
Mhm.
it's not, oh, we find out 6 months later. It's
Yeah.
we know pretty much real time. And maybe that's where blockchain comes in, right? That you can have these things happen real time versus they submit it in whatever format.
Mhm.
That's a great point. I would be open to that too. Like, okay, do your thing, but we need to know maybe the week of that it
Yeah.
hits a public website. Like there's more transparency.
Yeah, and that would just be great. And again, like most, crypto, we're not even all of the countries into crypto, right? And same even stocks. It's like most people I think are like on 401ks or retirement plans, but the ones who do trade and get down in these markets, we want that. We want to know what our representatives are buying because like we said, Ro Khanna, I want to know what he's buying because he seems to know some things. Like he's known, we talked about the roundtable that they had. He's there with Mark Cuban. Scaramucci knows a few things, right? I want to know what they're buying and I need to know it fast.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Straight
Dude,
up. Yeah.
like one of the things, like you imagine like, man, I would love to be a fly in a wall in this room and hear what people had to say. I would love to be a fly in the wall and Pelosi talking to her
Oh,
financial advisor, whoever
she
handles
says,
her trading.
buy now.
But I just got this tip, like just buy it.
Yeah.
I wonder how, or like, does she do any type of like secret messaging because she doesn't want to outright say in a recorded format, oh, I know this is going to come soon and this is going to come. But she says,
Straight up. Yeah.
I had a dream, buy this, like buy this stock.
Because I remember a little story time during COVID. I can't remember that senator's name or a representative, But it was like right before they made the COVID announcements, they was like, it was like a recording, or they found his records and he's like on the phone for 3 seconds, call somebody, his phone, sell it all now. And then they tracked it, and within a minute, everything was sold. And then they made the announcements on COVID, and then the
Oh, yeah.
markets crashed. I can't
I
remember his
remember.
name, but yeah, things like that are happening. And then they're like 3 weeks later, the market's coming back by. And like we need that information too, so
Yeah,
hilarious.
I can't believe. I guess that I totally never thought of it, but I can't believe that's been going on for so long. Like that's totally not fair. And yet the government will persecute people, right, for insider information. They have the ultimate
Yeah.
insider information. I mean, I think about, I guess the person who comes to mind is like Martha Stewart. Like you sent Grandma
Yeah.
Martha Stewart to jail for like insider trading, and then Congress and all these other people are doing it. It's ridiculous, man.
Yeah, because I go imagine like you're like, okay, I'm in the whatever regulation room of whatever that regulation is. For me, if I was a senator too, it would be hard to walk out that room and be like, we're about to announce this bill. I got 2 weeks to buy certain assets. I got 2 weeks. It'll be hard not to push that button and go buy them. And then you put the bill out and it's like, oh, billions of dollars are funding of CHIPS Acts or whatever it is. And then it'll be hard not to. So it's like, that's human nature. It's like, if you got that opportunity, you know, they're going to pull the trigger, and they have been doing it for, I don't know how long, but they all seem to make more money outside of their job.
Oh yeah. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
guess a lot of people have spotlighted how Elizabeth Warren, like she has an incredible net worth. She's obviously
Oh,
one of the
she's loaded.
most, yeah, she's loaded, and she puts up this facade though, like, oh, I'm one of the common people. I don't like banks and I don't, but she's the most like corrupt connected to all
Yeah.
of them. It's
She
crazy.
owned JP Morgan stock.
Yeah, her and Jamie Dimon, remember they had that hearing
Yep.
buddying up, like, oh, crypto would ban it and all that, and they're kissing each other's ass. I think it was like a
Yep.
month ago or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
Yeah. He owns it.
For sure. Now, one of the other items we got here is like the MiCA EU crypto regulation. And that was beneficial to like Circle. They launched their
Mhm.
EURC Euro stablecoin. Um, I think that's big. What was fascinating is Tether and being the largest stablecoin in the world, they weren't able to align to those regulations. They said they're still talking to the EU regulators, but many exchanges started delisting Tether in Europe.
Mhm.
So I'm very curious what's going to happen there. But I think Circle, they have the regulatory advantage, and man, that maybe in a few years they could become the world's largest.
I don't see why not. Like when I look at it, it's like United States dollar coin, right? European dollar coin. That's like the first thing I saw. And then Tether, my mind couldn't wrap around what was a tether. I thought about tethering my phone into the internet with my
Mhm.
computer, right? So I was trying to figure that out, but it seems like Tether has a reserve problem. Like they don't prove their reserves are really one to one as much. And then so that makes me never really want to use it. And I know that, if y'all go look at the Circle website, like it breaks down that it's one to one. They have the reports coming out. And then so to see them go to, was it France, and get the regulations right, um, I think that's a power move. It's the main stable coin that I use, and it looks really transparent. No issues.
Yeah, and it's in the two big. They're fully set up in the two biggest markets, the United States and then obviously Europe, right?
Yeah.
Many countries. So I think it's possible they could take the lead, man. Tether still has a good lead, first mover advantage and all that. But
Mhm.
if they don't get their regulatory stuff sorted out, they're gonna be in trouble. And then there's a whole bunch of other players who are coming into the stablecoin market. You got like PayPal, they launched in late last year. Ripple is gonna launch one. I know the folks at Van Eck. I just spoke to them.
Mm.
They are gonna launch one as well. So it's going to be stablecoin wars, man. It's going to be fascinating to see how this plays out.
Yeah, I like stable coins a lot. It's like to just be able to go buy and sell is my vision of crypto, to be like, hey, send this over to me, and whatever blockchain could take you 1 second, 3 seconds, 5 seconds, send it over. We have it all in a digital wallet. Like I was at the Algorand conference in Decipher out in Spain, Barcelona,
Oh yeah.
and yeah, so just recently last month. And then they made this big announcement that with one of their wallets, the Para wallet, they're doing a deal with this startup called Immersive, and Immersive works with MasterCard. So essentially, they're turning the Para wallet into a bank account, and then you have a digital MasterCard that can pull the USDC right out of it. So
Wow.
for the people who are bankless and whatnot, if you just got a phone and internet, you can just load up your wallet, get you some EURC, get you some USDC, and then you have a digital card and a bank account. And I think that was the dream of crypto I seen. It's like, it's amazing. You don't need wire transfers, you don't need to write checks. And then if a merchant, I saw them doing this with a Coinbase wallet as well. They're buying pizza and stuff with USDC.
Yeah, there was a coffee, yeah, the pizza, and then there was also the coffee shop in DC. I think they did I forgot the name of the coffee shop, but you could go in and pay for it USDC, which is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, it's incredible. And I think stablecoins are one of the biggest use cases for crypto. And a lot of people who don't understand it, don't understand the fundamental problem with payments
Yeah.
and the instant settlement. That's the big key. Instant. There's no
Yes.
swift wait 3 to 4 or 5 days, whatever, on the back end. And then lower fees and just faster transaction speed. So yeah, man, it's incredible.
Yeah.
That's what's going on.
It is. So I think the future looks bright. Keep doing your thing, Circle.
Yeah. Yeah. I know some people who did the private equity with them as well. They went through like Link
Mhm.
2 and so forth. I personally don't have any Circle stock, but they're planning to go public, I think, within the next year.
Mhm.
So I think I
It'll
may
be
look
huge.
into stocks. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds great, actually.
All right, Sewell, man. I think we hit all our stuff. I think
Yes.
we're all waiting for this market to bounce, and hopefully, next time we talk, maybe then another 3 weeks or a month, things are starting to move north again.
Yeah, let's get it, y'all. Thank you, Tony. Appreciate you for having me be on the show. And then again, I'll see you again sometime on our show, your show. We'll make it happen.
For sure. Everybody, go check out the Next Block YouTube channel. Links will be in the description. Check it out. They got a great show.